Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, couple of minutes late. You used to be able to set your watch by us, but just a couple of minutes late. I'm sure everyone will forgive us. So we are live Tuesday afternoon. It feels like we've been away forever. I know I've personally been away forever. Jonny hasn't, but it feels like we've been away forever. But we're back in our regular slot, 1 p.m. on a Tuesday. How is everyone? How are you, Jonny?
Yeah, good. It's nice to take a break from hosting and get you back from your break as well. So takes the pressure off me, but yeah, it's good. Good to be back with yourself. And it's been a few months since we've done a podcast, hasn't it, or a live video. Yeah, it's good. It's good to be back. Yeah, business is going well. Can't complain. Still
I
pretty strong. Yeah.
Absolutely. I just feel like a little bit at the moment. It's I'm just gonna make sure I'm logged in. We've got Phil's joined us, Debbie as well. Hi guys. Just give us some likes as well, because it's been a while since we've gone live. So I just want to make sure everyone knows that we're live. It takes a few minutes for the notifications to go out. So I just want to check that everything's firing on all. It's been a while. It looks like we're live in all the groups, so that's good. Or all the groups, 2 groups essentially. But what's really interesting is I haven't done this now for about 6 weeks. I haven't done Beyond the Buy Box. And before I went off ill, which I'm fully recovered, by the way. So, everything's back firing full cylinders. Before I went away, it just seemed like everyone was on a little bit of a downer, bit of a, I don't know, things aren't going particularly well. Lots of potential Amazon sort of roadblocks in the way. It just felt like I was ill, or maybe I was just getting ill and I was just picking up on it more. I don't know, because I was actually getting ill for a couple of weeks before I was getting ill. But it just seems like ever since I've come back and having new conversations, back into coaching people, back into doing things like this and speaking back in the real world again, there's been a bit of a flip. Everyone seems a bit happier. Business seems on the up for a lot of people. And if it's not on the up in terms of sales, they're improving margins, or they can see different levels of opportunity. And I think sometimes people listen to us talk and maybe think we're full of BS because we're saying there's so much opportunity and there's so much this, but it just feels like the last couple of weeks that people really are starting to get back into, yes, there is still something in this Amazon thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's still a huge market. I think people were down on the whole lending, where
Yeah.
easy access to capital just stopped overnight, basically. Well, what it seemed like it stopped with an immediate announcement saying they're no longer to give out loans. So people were, who were reliant on Amazon lending and refinancing through Amazon lending, soon had very quickly had to be like, oh, where am I going to get this cash from to sort of support the cash flow? So I think I definitely put a bit of a halt to a lot of businesses, I think, and a lot of business I imagine would have to restructure. Because for us, like as a reselling business, I guess it's hard to go to traditional banks unless you've got years in the game. So
Yeah.
Amazon lending is always such a nice option for everyone. And yeah, even myself, like I've had to sort of, restructure a little bit, and not restructure, but just really be mindful of cash flow. So, for instance, I've mentioned that I'm going to stop doing these massive importing of containers, because you have like 100K held up for 6 to 8 weeks, which is a significant amount for cash flow, obviously. So
Yeah.
for us, we're sort of changing how we look at things, like extending credit terms, using more UK suppliers, more quick turnaround, just to try and improve the cash flow. So I think that was an initial slump for everyone for the cash flow. But in terms of actual revenue and sales and market volume, I think everyone can agree it's still up there, still strong, hasn't gone down. I think competition's gone down. So I think it's a good opportunity. I think growth is going to be slower now for a lot of companies, obviously, because it's not that easy. Oh, let's get that £500,000 loan from Amazon lending. Obviously, like just click your fingers and there's $500,000. So people have to bootstrap and use profits to grow. But I think it's always exciting times. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest, and I think you've hit the nail on the head there, in the sense that I think people are definitely over the last 6 months, especially over Q4, and people normally Q4 is like, well, hey, we're here, we enjoy it, ooh, whoops. Enjoy it as much as possible. This is when we get to see our payoff and do this and do that. And there wasn't maybe as big a spike as everyone thought that there was. Well, I didn't think there was going to be a big spike in Q4 this year. And I think as the years go by, especially in a lot of I was talking to someone before coming on this live actually about seasonality and not really seeing too much of a dip. Like, you don't even consider Q4, Jonny. It's not a consideration for you, is it? Your business is very stable throughout the year, and I think more people are adopting that. More people are moving into the models, or certainly transitioning into the models that rely less on seasonality and more on the evergreen, selling all year round, so we're not affected by these kind of peaks and troughs. Obviously, if you have a business that sells toys all year round, then you are going to experience peaks and troughs. But if you have a business that sells Bisto gravy all year round, by the way, I wasn't talking about you, Jonny, but I'm just saying there is no bigger demand for Bisto gravy than there is in January than there is in October. There might be in summer people doing less roasts and things like that, but it's not big enough a jump in the market demand. So, and I think more and more people are moving into that. So it's definitely interesting. And I think people have spent 6 months understanding that and putting that into their business, or at least starting to put that into their business, that if you want to be here for the long term, if you want to be here for longevity, you have got to move away from the peaks and troughs as much as possible and bring a level of stability into your business. And that can be brought by a number of different ways, different marketplaces, having higher margin marketplaces, selling different types of products, having bundles, being in charge of your own destiny, creating your own listings, looking more at wholesale. There's not one right way to do it, and you have to test to see what works well for you. And so I think, a lot of people have been in a period of adjustment over the
Yeah.
last month.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Bisto. I always feel like that's like the entry wholesale listing, and I remember
It's
listing
my
that sort of
favorite. It's my
three,
favorite.
4 years ago.
Whenever I talk about selling in the grocery category, it's Bisto. Whenever I talk about selling in beauty, at Charlotte Tilbury. Whenever I talk about in home, what is it in home? Is it toilet rolls? I can't remember. I have like a specific example to describe each category, and when it's grocery, it's always Bisto. Sorry.
Yeah, it's because you can get it from like the best ways and the sort of Costco's, well, not Costco's, but the very entry level wholesalers. And it's like they always have those sort of things on promotion. So that's like
Yeah,
the entry level wholesale product. I think it's always a
yeah,
good example. But yeah, I think with seasonal, we've got a very flat, consistent business which goes on a very steady rise up. There's no big jumps. There's never been big jumps in our business, but I think with Q4 we do need to work on that. That's one of I'd say if there's one thing that we need to improve on in our business, it's our seasonality, because you're right, like we are very flat, but we do need probably to concentrate a bit more on seasonality. We've just been burnt quite a lot with HFSS coming in. We've bought like pallets of chocolates before, and they just don't sell as much as I thought they would. Like I still have nightmares about like whiskey chocolates being in my warehouse for like a year. And I think it's I try and like bulk
I
up and get loads of pallets in of like really top listings, and it just doesn't go as expected. That's happened a
that
few times.
Do you know what's really interesting? I think everybody's got their own nightmare products about what they won't do. And I've never had any luck selling like Scooby-Doo products. Like, Scooby-Doo is always the one. Whenever I've bought Scooby-Doo wholesale, whenever I bought Scooby-Doo, it's never sold. And then on top of it is it's double burned me, because I always say everything sells on Amazon for the right price, but even Scooby-Doo does not sell even when you tank the price. And I always had to like pay someone to take the Scooby-Doo stuff and get it away from me. So yeah, everyone has that nightmare. It's mainly advent calendars, Easter eggs, but it's definitely a lot of seasonal stuff for sure. So I just want to go back to the comments. We've got Rimus, we've got Andre. Hi, guys. Lewis has joined us. Craig's joined us. Massive Action. Sean is in the house. Even my husband's turned up. So, you know, it's a special occasion when Matt Cromie pops up to say hello. Dan said, Noreen says hi. Hi, Noreen. Dan says, I will try. I don't know what's going on with the comments. I think something's broken with the stream, but I can see them on my phone.
I can't see on StreamYard. Something's going on.
Yeah, something's going on. So yeah, apologies, but I am reading them out as we go. Dan says, I try and sell in seasonal niches like Mother's Day, Easter Day, St. George's Day. Isn't that today, by the way? I think St. George's Day is today. I think.
Yeah.
I think it is. Let me look in my calendar. I think it's the 23rd.
Yeah, it's today. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. And also Passover as well. But St. George's Day as well. It keeps business going during quieter periods. Absolutely, for sure. Think about, I'm going to do my worst American accent. The riches are in the niches, you know. So look at those niches, some of those areas, some big bundle success. I see a lot of people having it. You know, things like the King's Coronation. They're short, sharp, but they can make, if you make the right decisions, you can make a shed load of money. Think about things that are coming this year that we don't see for 4 years. The Olympics, guys, you know, the Euros, all of these kind of sporting events, or even the ones that happen every year. Think about, there's always seasonal peaks and spikes. Maybe don't think about going for such the obvious ones. Everybody experiences Easter and Christmas. Absolutely. But, you know, for sure, I know people that made a shed load on the 18th of March or whenever it was, St. Patrick's Day, doing some really kind of targeted niche stuff. And it's not all about selling green hats and, you know, orange beards and things like that, but it's about thinking about the type of products that people are going to be buying around that time. What are the Irish known for? You know, what are the type of products they use when they celebrate? You know, that type of thing. And it's the same for the Euro stuff. It's the same for that. So think about those niches, because that's where you can really find those for sure. So good point, Dan. Thanks for bringing that up.
I think when it comes to seasonal and different things, it brings in subjective thinking rather than objective thinking. You're basing your analysis of your own opinion and not data, really, aren't you? Like, for instance, the King's Coronation, we bought some biscuits for that. I'm pretty sure they're still in the warehouse. And it's sort of like, you know, it's having the best guess of like, this has never been sold before. This is like the new advent calendar of 2023 or 2024. And it's sort of, I don't know how many competitors are going to get hold of this. I don't know how many it's going to sell. So it's all like a guessing game. And I feel like that's where there's obviously a trick, the seasonality stuff, and obviously creating your own listing.
Yeah,
it's
you have to be in
subjective.
control. If you're going to bet big, you've got to be in control. This is what I was talking to Ahmed about this the other day. So I don't know if he was watching. He was talking about going very deep on certain lines, but they are
UK
lines.
or
US, but you know, this is universal. It applies throughout. So going very, very deep on certain lines, but certain lines that, and he will say it himself. So I know he won't mind me saying this. Very deep on something you had no control of. So there are levels of control on Amazon that you have. First of all, the first understanding of, and I say this loosely, control. One thing you have to get on board when you sell on Amazon is you have no control. You do not have control on Amazon, no matter what you bring it back down to. And people can argue with me until they are blue in the face on this. I will always counter with, you can never be 100% control if you're an Amazon seller, because it's not your platform. Okay. Amazon could shut me down tomorrow and there's nothing I can do about it. Absolutely nothing I can do about it. But obviously, out of the pyramid of control, that's the one that we worry about the least, that area, because we have the least of control over. I can't stop Amazon doing that tomorrow. I only want to have the most level of control over the stuff that I can have the most level of control on. So if you are going deep on a listing, I would want to know that I have the most control over that, which means I have to be in charge of that listing, which means I have to create my own listing. There is no way I'm going to buy 1,000 units on something that I do not have at least the minimum of the control of the listing on. Now, obviously, wholesale is a very different model. You can control it in separate ways. Jonny, you have the buying power and the selling power and the account to be able to control a listing through buybox.
Yep.
You know, if I was to come on the same listing with you, with the amount of stock, the fact that you can seller fulfill prime, the level of, sellers you have, the level of reviews you have, everything like that, you can dominate over me. So that's a level of control. So you have that control to a certain extent. But to go deep on something that you have never sold before, you have no selling experience of, you are not in control of the listing, to be perfectly honest, is quite reckless. So what you want to be able to do is be in control of what you know you can be in control of, which on Amazon is very little, but try and push the narrative of control as much as you possibly can. It's not necessarily about always, writing the listing, owning the listing, and being in control of that. But it is a mitigated risk of knowing I'm not going to go deep against you, Jonny, because I know that you will wipe the floor of me, even if you would see me, you would push me down on price to get me off the listing. Because
Remember,
you've got
yeah, it's all risk management, right? And it depends also on your sort of risk appetite on how deep you go. So if I go deep on that pallet and another seller goes deep who's just starting, them going deep and spending £3,000 on that pallet might be sort of 20% of their bankroll, their 20% of their inventory level. So if that ASIN just disappears overnight, gets suppressed, gets taken down, gets an IP complaint, they potentially got 20% of their stock, which then goes obsolete, and they have to then sell on eBay and get rid of it in different ways where you either lose money or break even. So I think when you're making these decisions of, I want to go deep on this ASIN, because I know people who just go really deep and like 3-4 ASINs, they read the keeper data and they're very confident, but they don't, they understand the risk that it might go down, but they're just like, I don't care. I'm just going to sort of gamble. Let's go really hard on these because they're such good listings at that time. So I think you need to look at it and be like, I'm going to go deep on this, but what percentage of my inventory value levels overall is that going to be? So if I'm going to spend 3,000, but my inventory value is 300,000, so there's only 1% of my inventory. If that goes bust, we'll have to break even or get rid of it. It doesn't matter. But if you're, do you know what I mean? It's all a percentage of your total inventory value and your risk to your business. Because if that is 20% of your entire inventory level, you're risking your business just by on that one SKU, and it doesn't make sense. So I think that's a really good way to see it, in my opinion.
Yeah, risk tolerance as well. What's really interesting, things always happen in waves. I always end up having the same conversations with people, but in different circumstances. I always feel there's seasons in conversations of certain topics on Amazon, and risk tolerance is an area that I'm discussing with a lot of people at the moment, especially on the coaching side. And take an example of if somebody goes deep on a product like we were talking about, and the level of control that I'm talking about, their risk tolerance levels might be a lot higher than mine. So they may not need the level of control of owning their own listing, but they may be overlooking on the fact that they are maybe looking at, like you said, keeper data. Because personally for me now, more than ever, and I talk about this in the first module of Profit Sting in the Hive, is the past on Amazon for so many years has generally indicated the future, but not in the modern way of selling on Amazon. So much has changed over the last couple of years in terms of what people have got access to. Back in the day when I first started, the best sources were the most successful. There was no doubt about it. If you couldn't read Keeper, if you were not a good sourcer, you would not have a successful business because there was not the level of VAs, there was not the level of deals that are available now. So I can manually find the same deal as, you know, such and such can get put on the sheet. And I might manually find it first because I'm a good sourcer. However, I can't control the 500 other people that are potentially looking at that to either put it on a deal sheet or provide it to their employer as a VA. So that's what I can't control essentially anymore. And that data is very much driven by what's happened in the past on Keeper. That Keeper chart is not going to predict 400 new sellers jumping on there. So people now, this is what I say, it's not necessarily about the money and the profit used to be in the sourcing of the products on Amazon. For me, it's now switched. It's now in the selling of the product. You have to put more emphasis on once you have that product in hand, how you are going to manage the 400 sellers that are going to come on, which they will. And
Yeah.
it's like planning a battle of attack. You know what time that team is going to you know what time the opposition is going to attack. It's about how you best handle that. How do you best attack? Do you do offensive? Do you do defensive? Do you move in from the sides? That's what the modern day Amazon seller needs to consider now, not how many drops there are in the Keeper chart or how many sellers there were back on that 2 years ago in March when King Charles had a garden party, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I used to play poker back in the day, and it's all sort of goes back to it's the same similar concepts from that and sort of bankroll management, right? I'm just going to keep going back to that point because I think it's so important and people need to factor this in. It's like when you play poker, when you're going into a tournament, you only risk about 2% of your total bankroll. So if you lose all that money, you're only losing 2%. Of course,
Yeah.
with Amazon, there's other ways to sell it. You probably won't lose all of it, but
No.
potentially it could get disposed. But you can usually break even or sell on eBay or have
Tangible
another.
asset.
Yeah, but even so, I'd still say probably maximum 5%, 10% of your total bankroll going into one ASIN, because otherwise I'd say 5% actually. Because that if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. It
Yeah.
could really damage the growth in your business. But I think you're also right in looking at the selling, and you can increase your risk appetite if you know that you've also got other channels that you sell it on. So for instance, Shopify, TikTok, eBay, Amazon, Seller Fulfilled Prime. You've got 5 different channels basically that you can sell it on and spread it out, right? So that's the good thing about Infantry, is that if you just got FBA and you're selling into one ASIN on Amazon and you're sending all the units to that one ASIN, then your risk appetite should probably about 1-2%, a lot lower. But if you're storing half at the warehouse, you're feeding it into FBA, you're also selling on other channels at the same time and really spreading that risk, creating a unique bundle out of it, creating a 2-pack, 3-pack, 6-pack out of it, then it becomes more manageable and less risky. And I think that's the name of the game, isn't it? Really being able to spread your risk. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And again, I know this person won't mind me saying it because you don't exactly know who I was talking about this morning. I was talking to someone, and I talked to a couple of people this morning. So if you think it's you, it might not be you, unless you know what I'm about to say. Is I was talking to someone about a specific model, and they asked me a very frank question: whether or not they believed, or I believed, that on the trajectory that they were on, that they could achieve a certain amount of profit in the next 12 months, what they were doing. Right. Sorry. Or was it the best way or what? I can't remember how it was exactly worded. All I'm going to say is the amount of profit that was spoken about is life-changing money and a lot of money. And they said to me, I want an honest answer. And I said, okay, I will give you an honest answer, but it depends. There's caveats to it, to be perfectly honest. So my answer was, you as a person who I know very well, doing this model, which is a different model, in this current time, with your personal circumstances and what is available to you, yes, it's totally achievable and you are on the right path. Now, if he was to ask me, because I think he asked me actually, was it the best way or should he be concentrating on something else? And that's what he asked me. And Whereas if someone else asked me that question, now bearing in mind this person's got quite high risk tolerance,
Yeah.
and has the attributes and the qualities within their personality, or characteristics, not qualities, in their personality, that was the right answer. But if someone else answered me that, if another person asked me that, the answer would be different because, it depends how well I know them. And, for me, this person doesn't particularly care too much about risk, whereas I do care about risk. So for me, if I was asking that question of myself, the answer would be no. You need to diversify. You need to split the risk. You need to, manage the risk in different areas, because I couldn't handle having all of my eggs in one basket. I'm very chill. You know this for working with me, Jonny. I am very chill. But if there's one thing that, pickles my walnuts, or whatever the phrase is being reliant on one income stream or one egg in one basket. I do not have the characteristics to be able to do that. So the answer for me is I would have the same result. I would make the same amount of money that this guy was talking about, but it would be over a longer period and a slower growth with more mitigated risk, as it were. So that's interesting.
Does this particular person have sort of UK staff or anything like that to pay for, like a payroll to pay
Yeah,
for? Because that significantly changes
yeah,
like risk, doesn't it? Because you've got to pay for that, and
it
also
does.
the other factor is, as you get bigger, your net margins always sink as you get bigger. That's just natural in business, and why
Yeah.
sort of cost, Tesco's and stuff, and they rely on like 1-2% net margin, right? So yeah.
It's really interesting. Cindy said, I better know who that was. I bet you don't actually. This person is very, very much, they're not in the communities. They're very much off the radar. So I don't think you will know who it is, interestingly. Oh yes, Cindy was saying it was confirming it was St. George's Day. Excuse me, but that brings me back to something you said then. So, shutting out the noise, doing this and doing that. But one thing I wanted to ask you about, Jonny, because you're one of the only people I know that's actually doing it at the moment. And I'm going to swerve conversations completely. How is TikTok going? Because obviously that's a brand new market. I'm not going to go into it. We will cover, specifics on TikTok at some point later. But I see a lot of people starting to ask about TikTok. Um, we know you're selling on TikTok. Yeah, so just talk us through it. How's it going?
Be honest, like my actual effort towards it has kind of slowed down the last 1 to 2 weeks. It's one of those ones where the more I list, the more I get sales, obviously, like eBay, but it's sort of about £200 a day. It's nothing really that amazing. However, I know if I put more consistency in like videos and really, I the problem I have right now is I don't have the personality to do the sort of TikTok cheesiness, where
Yeah.
a lot of the top sellers are so cheesy on TikTok, and I just can't bring myself to do that. Um, so right now it's just like I'm building all the listings. I pretty much put most of my catalog on there, and it's sort of kind of free flow. But I'll be honest, I haven't
Extra
put.
income stream, extra
Yeah,
source, extra, diversification, and nothing that's really requiring a huge amount of effort on your part just to bring it in. Yeah.
the problem with TikTok for me at the moment is that it doesn't integrate with like ReplyCo and like the major sort of customer service. So my team have to go in the app to actually answer customer questions and stuff like that. So it's not like fully integrated with different software yet. That's what Cindy's comment.
I know.
It's
You need some more cheese training.
it's one of those where I'm gonna be honest, I haven't put too much just due to time. I would probably, if I wanted to take it seriously, I would need to put a few hours into just doing content into it and just seeing if there's any sort of effect. Um, I know a few people like Ben, who's doing a bit of TikTok, and he's doing all right as well, and he gets his team to post. I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, you know, Amazon is just, we put so much
So
emphasis on
big.
Amazon that it's right now it's taken away from other channels because it's just not the priority.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I should
Is
just
it
tell you about my Amazon business. No, after you go, after you. What's
No,
going
I was
on?
just gonna say, Jay said TikTok is phenomenal at the moment. It's a massive opportunity. I completely agree. I know some sellers that are absolutely killing it at the moment, and a couple in particular that are really flying high on TikTok. And I do think it's something that the more people build and secure an Amazon business, that TikTok will be the one that you will be able to diversify onto without too much more extra effort that it takes to get onto eBay or Shopify or some of the other platforms. I do think that the two that will go hand in hand, that will complement each other for the future, will be TikTok and Amazon. I think, and you'll start to see, and the proof will be in the pudding on this. You will start to see the softwares integrating towards multiple usage when you start to see them introducing TikTok, because we were talking about this the other day, weren't we, Jonny, that um you don't really see, apart from maybe seller boards, you don't see a lot of the softwares that have, they're all individual to their own individual platforms, and they run differently. Of course, they're going to be individual, but there is an opportunity to collaborate on some of the softwares to make them work on different platforms. Even if it's just tracking profits or customer service or returns or something like that. So I think that the day that you start to see a lot of the Amazon softwares starting to integrate and building TikTok, that's when I think you're going to see the turn of more people heading towards the TikTok platform. But it's like the Wild West at the moment. But even so, they're tightening up. I've been speaking to people. What it is now, the opportunity to what it was a year ago, again, completely different.
Yeah, I think maybe software companies are also looking at the risk of it, and obviously, I don't think it's going to get banned in the US. I doubt that's ever going to happen. But
Yeah, that's
obviously,
a big thing.
it was in the news a lot, and it was a very serious. It got very deep, and it still might happen. And I guess companies look at that and be like, should I put all this development time, spend six figures into building this app, or spend a lot of dev time, which is very expensive, as we know, into
Yeah.
and time consuming, into TikTok, when it could be just banned next week.
Yeah.
I think the other thing with TikTok you need to look at is how much they're discounting the selling price right now for the customers, and how long are they actually going to do that? Because if they pull away all these discounts where they're giving 90% discounts to the sell price and insanely cheap prices, when they start pulling that and it becomes more expensive, is there still going to be volume there? Because at the moment it's the cheapest really place you can buy a lot of these things because of the
Mhm.
significant discounts that TikTok give. But if that pulls away, is it still going to
Yeah.
be as viable? It's a tough one, right? And it's like, do I hire an apprentice and a business admin apprentice to do this for like full time and just try and grow it? Do I put time and put my hat on and go into that and put a lot of time into it? And yeah,
I I tell you what you should do. I've got a good business plan for you, Jonny. Is you should hire a couple of young, hot, kind of 20-somethings, a boy and a girl, get them to go on there and do the selling for you, and tell them if they do really well and get loads of sales, they get picked up by like Love Island. Be a good
yeah,
a good career opportunity for them. They'll get spotted by being in, by selling grocery goods. They'll get spotted by the casting directors of Love Island. There we go.
hire
Great business advice.
good looking 16-year-olds and 18-year-olds, and yeah, get them
Yeah.
to, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. What you do, yeah, it does help being good looking, doesn't it, on TikTok? Uh,
Well, there's all these filters are for anyway. So Jay said there's not really much content required for TikTok. There we go. Sorry, just a message came up. Not really much content is required from TikTok to do some good numbers. So I do think if you know, there's good opportunity for scalability at the moment, for sure. There's no doubt about it. Debbie said it's all about acting on TikTok. So yeah, definitely need some acting chops for that. Davey
For me,
said,
it's just time, isn't it? For me, like it's just a lot going on with software, Amazon. I got I onboarded a new warehouse manager 2 months ago. Obviously restructuring this business, and yeah, for TikTok, it's just like I've got Amazon that's doing 10K a day almost, and it's just like TikTok doing 100. Is that where I should put right now?
put
My
your effort.
time with software, hopefully going to beta in a few months. Which I'm leading. It's just
Actually,
like
not a few months, Johnny. You've got a deadline, I'm afraid.
a deadline. Yeah.
Yeah, it's less than a few months. Just going to point that out. And we'll come on and talk about the software in a minute, actually, because we've got some exciting updates of that. One thing, I love it. Debbie says, I'm not sure you can advertise for that. I think she might be right, actually. So, yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that. Yes,
If you're
we'll
hot or not
definitely.
score on the CV.
Pardon?
Do you remember
Sorry?
Hot or Not, where you used to upload your images to a website called Hot or Not, and it would give you you'll get rated out of 10? This is from 20 years ago when the internet first came out.
Yeah,
Do you
no,
remember
I
that?
remember. Yeah, no, I remember that because that's what started with Mark Zuckerberg, didn't it? With Facebook. That's what gave him the sort of idea for a lot of stuff that
So
inspired Facebook after he nicked the idea off the the two. And I don't know if I should be saying that on Facebook. I'm going to get in trouble. But Matt Cromie says I'm free. Okay, we'll put you forward for audition, Matt, for sure. But just going back to David's question, do you know this actually, Johnny? Does TikTok allow for tracking data via Amazon multi-channel fulfillment?
I'm not too sure. I haven't seen that. How to do that. I'd have to look into that. To be
He's
honest,
gonna
I
look
didn't
into
look at it.
that. I know. By the end of probably this, you'll probably know because he'll be looking it up, I'm sure. So yeah, that's just a little interesting conversation because there's not often there's not much I allow people to get that kind of shiny object syndrome for, but I do think TikTok is going to compete. It's going to be a contender. I think, and we've known this for a little while now. It's just taken a little while to evolve. I don't think it's going to get banned. I think it's going to be here to stay. But even if it does get banned, then something else will come and replace it anyway that has got a very similar feel to it. So I wouldn't be worried about that opportunity too much because I do think that this is the way that you do the way the audience wants to be. So I think people want to be sold to. It's like full circle. It's like going back to the QVC days, but in a more modern era. So it's really interesting. But we will keep an eye on it. But one thing I wanted to add with that, and obviously, have a quick mention about, obviously it came as a big shock to us this week or the last week or so, with Matt unfortunately having to step down from Beyond the Buy Box and the Hive. But one of the things that we were able to talk about, Jonny and I, afterwards, which gave us a bit more of a different direction as such. And one of the things that we want to do is definitely get a more diverse set of people that are coming on and talking about different things. And, even with Jonny doing the TikTok himself, it's one of those type of things. If we're going to cover content in the Hive and things like that on the future, we want the best of the best people teaching it. So, it's going to, not that you're not the best of the best, Jonny. That's not what I meant, obviously. But, it's going to give us an opportunity to be able to bring in outside experts on certain subjects that you guys want to learn about and you want interested about. But TikTok is definitely going to be one of the ones that we will look to in the not too distant future, because I don't think it will bring enough distraction to take people off of their Amazon paths. And that's what I'm always wary of doing. If I was to bring in an Etsy model now, it would take people, it would distract them too much where the opportunity is. And the opportunity is still the biggest on Amazon. Until someone proves me otherwise, I'm still going to keep banging that drum.
Yeah, I think with any sort of major decision or anything that major happens, I think it comes with lots of opportunities and improvements, doesn't it? Obviously with this latest move now brings us the opportunity to look towards other experts coming in and coaching, and we've got people lined up who are going to help us out. Obviously, I'm going to go back into training now, and obviously that's sort of a mini. I think people probably suspect that I'm now doing more training now because I've been running the last 4 weeks of training in the Hive. But
and everyone's loved, by the way. So if you are someone that is new to the group and you don't know what we're talking about, Jonny and I actually have a paid membership group called the Hive, and this is where we focus on opportunities of additional learning on Amazon. So, things like the bundles, wholesale, we've got EU covering, we've got eBay, lots of different things. It gives us the opportunity to go into things. It's like mini courses within a membership, then live sessions. It's very diverse in terms of what the Hive offers. But one of the things that we always want to make sure we do, it gives us the opportunity to stay ahead and make sure the information we're giving, of course, is up to date. But one of the areas that we're developing in at the moment is software development in BeeStocked, which is something that is being continually built. It's built, but it's being tested. It's in alpha stage at the moment. And one of the things that having the Hive and working with so many people in a close capacity has allowed us to do is to put all the efforts into the software that will help facilitate what we teach in the Hive. So we've spent some time talking about the direction of the software, and what's really interesting is the people that are actually using it in the testing phase at the moment. We had someone say yesterday, so to cut a very long story short, it's very much going to focus about replenishment, inventory management, replenishment. That is what BeeStocked is going to be predominantly for. And what's interesting, now the features are starting to be put in and tested. We had someone that came up yesterday and posted within the testing group, wow, I just turned on this feature and I managed to replay 15 things that I didn't know I needed.
Yeah. I mean, I listened to a podcast last night and, well, a live video, and I guess people will know who I'm talking about, but they were talking about their replan systems and how they replan. And it all was very, very manual and it's quite simple, like basic. And I was just thinking, when BeeStock comes out, it's gonna, like, they're all 7-figure sellers, like big sellers. And I was just thinking, Jesus, like when BeeStock is in beta and working as we want it, when it goes through past the alpha stage, it's going to improve their business so much if they start to use it and understand it. And I think that's the problem right now, is it's the education behind it. And I think if you're not a part of the Hive, it's an absolute steal right now, because next week we're adding an introduction cost, whatever they're called, because there is so much a joining fee. Sorry, just because there's this a year and a half of backdate, a year plus of course content, and you're getting it for just a month. It's just a steal. But one thing I did do was just do a wholesale intensive course, and I went through.
That's what I was going to get onto. Sorry, you've reminded me. I went off on a tangent. That's what I meant to say.
I did go through, and I sort of taught the sort of methods behind replanning and how it worked. And for those who tuned in, I think from the comments, they seemed like, oh, that's how it works, and oh, that's how BeeStock's gonna help. And that's for us in software dev, it's like we really want to now focus, and we went a little bit distracted at times, but really focus on the replan element and making that as the two objectives, right? Is like, I want people to know exactly how many to order and be able to order that in the quickest amount of time and the cleanest amount of time, so they can manage their orders and be in stock constantly. And I think it's even more important now. And Amazon have such an emphasis on keeping in stock, that this software, once it's in beta, working as we want it to, with all the features that we want for the beta in a short amount of time, it's gonna be really good when people start to understand it, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. It's like we've landed on our feet a little bit in terms of the inventory management stuff on Amazon is going to get pretty intense over the rest of the year, and people are going to notice it in their bottom line. So you have to be hot on it. So yeah, fortune favors the brave, and absolutely we've created something that is going to facilitate that in a way, in something that has not done so before, if that makes sense. So the Hive is designed to teach you everything you need to know about selling, running a business, running an Amazon business in particular. And so it gives you all of the information, and BeeStocked is going to, you know, support you in doing all of that. It's going to facilitate and automate a lot of those processes. So, you know, we're very manual people. I'm certainly a very manual person. So Jonny's a very manual person, but then works as quickly as possible to automate.
Yeah.
Yeah, automate that manual process. But you've got to know what the manual process is first before you automate. And that's exactly what BeeStock is going to be, a manifestation of all of the manual processes that you need to do within your business.
Yeah. No, it's going to be really good for all sorts of sellers, in my opinion. And yeah, I think everyone needs it. And again, it's, you know, it's going to be a very discounted price for like Hive members as well, isn't it? And it's you know, it's gonna, the amount of money it would save on just sort of admin, I think, is it just pays for itself. I think it's rather than having a VA doing it, you know, they will save half their you know, save 20 hours a week probably on just reordering. So it
Oh,
just pays for itself.
what BeeStock would do, I feel very confident in saying, is it will absolutely save you from hiring someone to do it. So it will be, if you pay a VA $600 a month or $500 a month, depends how generous you are. If you pay them that, to have someone come in and manage your replenishables, which, you know, if you're above a certain level within the business, you should have someone, and your business relates to replenishable products, and unless they're exclusive products, because that's different, because, you know, you probably don't need someone for that, then you probably should have someone who is managing replens in your business. I don't believe anybody does not operate, you know, unless you're in clearance or liquidation or something like that, that shouldn't have a replen model. BeeStocks would absolutely, minimum case scenario, save you $6,000-7,000 a year in terms of what you would be paying someone manually to do it. And that would be minimum. That's without the growth it's going to bring to your business as well. And, you know,
Absolutely.
obviously that's 1/6 of the Hive membership as it stands now anyway. So if you're thinking about joining the Hive, we're not going to do a big fire sale. Prices are going up next week. So we don't, that's not really us. We don't really believe in that. There will be a post that goes out that will give people a certain amount of time to join before. Absolutely. Because I feel some people will be like, well, you didn't tell me it was going up. You know, I would have joined before, kind of thing. So we will let you know, but it's going to be a very short window, and it's not going to be everyone get in quick before we put the prices up. It's, if you're thinking about joining, the joining fee will go on at some point in the next few weeks. So you know, that's
Yeah.
because we
Monthly stays the
value.
same, to be clear. The monthly is staying the same.
Oh,
So
monthly staying the same, but there will
yeah.
be a joining fee, because I literally saw someone, without not being mean or anything like that, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I know somebody who knows nothing in terms of what they were saying, and the cost of their course is over 1,000 to join.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's just, no, I'm not saying there isn't a monthly membership on top of that. What you pay for in the monthly membership, you pay for in the updates. What you pay for
Yeah.
is like what you're going to get tonight. It's the live session. That's what you pay for
Life
tonight.
sentence.
Yeah, that's what you pay the monthly for. So the joining is for the you to get access to the information that already exists. So think of it from that point of view. So you know, we have to, out of respect to the people that have been part of the Hive for a year, to be able to put that joining fee on there. And that's what, you know, that's why we're doing it.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
we're
we
not
have,
sorry. We're not sorry. We don't care.
I mean, you're getting a bundle course, wholesale course, eBay course, EU course, and that's, you know, the joining fee it's you know, we have to do it just to protect that, and to support our existing members, and as a thank you, like, look, we don't want to just give this out anymore. So, you know, we've been around for now, we're established now, we have a lot of content, and it's, yeah, it's gonna be it's way worth it for sure. Natalie, so next few weeks you have some guests on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So Hayden will be back on this week because he came on a couple of weeks ago, but we were going to talk about something specifically. So Hayden came on with you guys while I was off, but we are going to talk about PPC specifically. So the more people that enter into the world of bundles, creating their own listings, PPC is one of those big blockers. So Hayden and I are just going to come on. We're going to have a good old hour's chat about PPC. What is it? What does it do? What can catch you out? What you shouldn't be doing? What you should be doing? We're going to talk about that. And then the next couple of weeks until I go away, which I obviously away again. But until I go away, yes, we have different guests coming up and discussing different things. So yeah, back to normal now. 1 o'clock every Tuesday. If you're a Hive member, 7 o'clock. Yeah, actually, good. That's a good point. Let me just quickly run over everything that's going on this week. So obviously today we've just done this 7 o'clock tonight, Hive Live. Got some cool stuff to talk about in terms of Keeper tonight. We had a new YouTube video this week go out about the new monthly sold figure on Keeper. So if anyone's got the link to that, if they wouldn't mind posting it in the comments. So it's only like a 20-minute video, which for me is like super short, double the speed, and it's done in 10 minutes. Who hasn't got time for that? Please go on, give the video a thumbs up if you can. Any comments or anything like that, it's always good to hear. So make sure you watch that. It's just a short one about the new feature. But if you are a Hive member, we're going to dive into that a little bit more detail tonight, as well as Q&A answering questions about that. What else have we got going on? Monday next week, if you're a Hive member, we have and this is bonus, by the way, guys. This what happening on Monday is a bonus. It's going to be like a 2-hour workshop on creating the best possible Amazon listing that you can create. It's going to contain all of the up-to-date tips, tricks, and hacks, and everything you should be doing to get as much traffic to your listing as possible. That is going to be unmissable for anybody that is creating their own listings. Then next Tuesday, lunchtime, 1 o'clock, we have Hayden on here. And then, yeah, Hive Live will be following on from the listing. So we'll be talking about that. And then the week after that, Profit Sting restarts again, which is just, something everybody. I managed to get the first like module out before falling sick. And I stand by, there is nothing that I have created or written in terms of training that I believe even the bundle stuff. So this is a bold statement. I've created. No, I haven't. People have created from that training, the bundle training, multiple 7 figures. And I'm not talking the odd person, proven time and time again. I believe Profit Sting will, in the long term, actually be more valuable than the bundles. That's what I truly believe. That's a bold statement in terms of the effect that it will have on Amazon sellers. It will be on my gravestone, Profit Sting, I think.
Yeah, you'll see it on TikTok or over TikTok in the year's time.
Of course.
Just like
of course, that's what I said. But I did say the first part, there are certain things that benefit the wider Amazon community. So I actually don't mind that being shared, as long as credit's always given, because I've never heard anyone teaching this at all. As long as credit's always given, which nobody gives me credit for unique bundles anymore now. What's funny is people come to me and like, if you heard about these unique bundles, I'm like, have I? I don't know. So, and they don't even know where it kind of came from. I always stand by, I didn't invent unique bundles, but I named it unique bundles. So that was definitely of my creation. But I don't know, I get the old FOMO on TikTok. There's so many people teaching unique bundles on TikTok that are either ex-students of mine or have got the information as a result. So I think I might as well just go on TikTok and start talking about unique bundles. Might as well.
Yeah. Talk about a lot about TikTok today. But
we have.
Yeah.
But yeah, it all comes down to it. So yeah, now that they've made them longer videos, I couldn't have done it if it was under the old 3 minutes. No chance. I would have just got to, my name's Natalie. This one time at band camp, I did this and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I would never have got past the 3 minutes. I wouldn't have got to the point quick enough. For sure. So yeah, lots coming up over the next couple of weeks. So great to have you here. Thank you so much for your patience. I know felt like we were away for a while, but it's good to be back. Really enjoying it. And yeah, really looking forward to all of the exciting developments that kind of come through this group, the Hive, BeeStocked, and just you guys, progressing within your businesses. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in. And yeah, it's gonna be a busy few months of content. Well, it's always busy in the Hive, but yeah, good to have you back, Natalie. And thank you. Yeah, thanks again, everyone, for listening.
Yeah, have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you tonight if you're in the Hive. If not, we will see you next week. But as always, keep your questions posted in the group, and have a great week, everyone. Take care.
Cheers.